Morning once again, and thank you for being part of us here on Good Morning Uganda on UBC TV. And in case you've just joined, make it a date with us every weekday from the hour of 6:30 till 9 a.m. We're always here to ensure that you're well versed with what is happening locally and also internationally, keeping you informed, giving you the relevant information as you kickstart your day. So make it a date with us. I'm Kirabo, Nyonyintono, and this is Good Morning Uganda Agenda. Well, this morning we are going to be discussing another issue of national concern, and that is illegal migration in our country. Of course, we know people are welcomed in countries, but all countries have laws that guarantee your stay. And of course, the government of Uganda, under the Ministry of Internal Affairs, came up with the Department of Immigration to ensure that if you're not a Ugandan or if you're a visitor here, what are the terms and conditions of your stay? And now I want to look at those that illegally access Uganda, those that are illegally staying in our motherland. And of course, many times this has an implication on criminality, where they try to track these people, where they try to find out, and you can hardly understand how this person came into the country, and using their status to commit crimes, of course knowing that tracing such may be very hard to do. And with me in studios, I have the spokesperson or the public relations officer, Minister of Internal Affairs, very smart. I don't know how many uniforms this man has. Sometimes he's in white with some pimps, now he's come in total green. Keeps on confusing me. But that is Jacob Siminyu. A lovely morning to you.
A lovely morning to our viewers. I'm glad to be here, talking things that touch us directly. And I am sure we are going to leave some information for you. Keep tuned.
Well, you're looking smart, I must say.
Thank you so much.
I wish I could borrow that, but of course that would be impersonation.
No, you just have to talk to me nicely.
Talk to you nicely?
Yes.
Okay, I'll talk to you nicely. Then, of course, the lady herself, who has been at the forefront of fighting trafficking in persons in Uganda and happens to be the Deputy National Coordinator and also Public Relations Officer for that is Prevention Against Trafficking in Persons, Agnes Igoye. Very interesting having you on set, Agnes, this morning.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be in interaction with Ugandans very early in the morning when all the energy is out there. So thank you for having me.
Well, let me start with Jacob. Jacob, when we talk about illegal immigration, what are we referring to here, and how many types or categories or forms of illegal immigration can we discuss this morning?
I want to start by acknowledging that the Directorate of Citizenship and Immigration Control is in charge of facilitating entry, exit, and stay. Now, illegal immigration is broader and can cover those who are illegally entering and those who are staying in the country outside the laws. So that's what it does. So there are several ways one can live in a country illegally. And to start with the borders, the Directorate of Citizenship and Immigration Control has 54 manned points. And those manned points are there to make sure that people enter legally. But those who choose to enter from points that are not manned are committing a crime. And for us to counter that, we have put up a team which works with other joint forces, Uganda Police, Uganda People's Defense Forces, local defense, even citizens and local leaders. So to ensure that people are entering in accordance with the law. However, there are those who enter the country legally, but when they enter and get here, either they want to do things that they were not permitted to do, or they want, they fail to comply with the law and choose to stay illegally. Some choose to work illegally, others choose to continue living in Uganda illegally. As you may be aware, we have a relationship with our neighboring countries. For example, someone can enter on interstate pass from, say, Kenya or Rwanda, and once that person enters, you are supposed to use that interstate pass to live for 6 months. However, others choose to use them to work in tea estates, work on people's farms, do other types of work, and think they are working here illegally. To work in Uganda, you need a work permit. and you apply for that work permit, and if you are an East African, you get it free of charge. You just go on www.immigration.go.ug and apply for your work permit. Once it's approved, you go and they put it in your passport if you are an East African. If you are from other countries which are not exempted from work permits, you apply. After applying, you pay. After paying, we endorse it in your passport. And that's what we call living in the country legally. However, there are also those who come to visit from abroad, tourists and the like. You are required to come on the right visa. If you know you are going to stay in Uganda and go to Kenya and go to Rwanda, you can get an East African tourist visa. You apply for it from the same portal. But if you know you are coming to Uganda to stay with the possibility of extending beyond 3 months, don't apply for the East African tourist visa, apply for the single entry visa of Uganda, so that you can get here, you can choose to continue visiting your relatives. Now we are having our Ugandans coming back from home. They should also know that if you are not a Ugandan by any reason, that you went and became a citizen of another country and you have not got dual citizenship, please apply for visa. So to facilitate people who are entering, we put up visa online. We stopped issuing visa on arrival for various reasons of ensuring the quality of the service that we are providing. And we ensure that visas are actually issued in 3 days. So apply for them, you will get them.
Agnes, this is very interesting. Really, we see that many people could be living in Uganda illegally, and they think they are doing it the right way. When he talks about a person crossing over from Rwanda, we have many people who have relatives there. And the person just comes to visit the other and temporary stay. They marry, they give birth there in Uganda. So let's look at it in these two forms. You have those at the entry and those that have been in this country for so long. But let's first understand, how big is this problem to Uganda as a country? The issue of illegal immigrations, how big is this?
You know, first of all, illegal is in, you know, various ways, or irregular. These days we call it irregular. Because that's why you see there's human smuggling, but there's also human trafficking. Now, smuggling is where you make a conscious decision for somebody to support you to what? To cross a border. In smuggling, you must cross a border, and after crossing, it's usually exchange that you've supported me, either I pay you, you know, for contravening, because there you're breaking the national laws, and it's a crime to the country. But human trafficking is where you most likely you do not even know. There's deceit. There are so many, because somebody is recruiting you, transporting you for purposes of exploitation. So there's an exploitative element. So they've lied to you that there are jobs, for example, abroad, that you're going to work in a supermarket or wherever, and then you're excited. So traffickers even coach the victims to lie to immigration. That's why you find some of them, they don't go through the normal procedures, pass through gazetted borders. So they pass through irregular border crossings. So once you cross the border, it doesn't stop there, because you are now the property of those people. So when you reach wherever you're going, there are two main drivers for international trafficking. It is demand for cheap labor and demand for women to work in the sex industry. That's why you find, you know, many of the, you know, those categories, you know, young, and then they lie to you that there are jobs. Then you reach there, then they say, hey, no, it is, they take you to a brothel. It is prostitution. And you say, no, this is not what that brought me. But the trick is, and that's why I want Ugandans not to be so excited, because once they tell you that the visa, they will pay for the visa, they'll pay for money that you're buying for the passport, they pay for your air ticket. That is a red flag. There's no one who loves you too much, because you can imagine they don't take their people, they don't take their real, but why you? So when you get there, they will say, okay, if this is not what you're coming to do, pay back our money. And sometimes they remove your document. Sometimes you're in a country where you don't even speak the language. Like if you're taken, for example, to India or China or wherever, you don't speak the language. So it is problematic. So that's why, you know, people should know awareness. Now it's different from, you know, smuggling. Smuggling, no one, because you're breaking the rules of the country, and there's no element of exploitation. You know, but there's a criminality that you're not following the
that is so common on some of our borders.
Yes,
from for us that have roots on border community, someone will tell you this is the border point where they're checking.
Yes.
That there's a guy with a bicycle maybe a few kilometers before you reach the border. So you disembark, then he will tell you there's a panya, there's a, I'll get you there. So I'll get you to Uganda if you're coming from, then you pay me and I'm off to go.
Yeah, so it's usually too good to be true, you know, promises. And what is troubling now, it is people you know that are going to traffic you. It is relatives, and it has gone, even they recruit you through social media. So that's the problem, because what social media or internet has done is traffickers now have access to victims 24/7. Even when you are sleeping, there's somebody being what? Wood, you know, whether on Facebook or what, and they are telling them. Some people are even coached, because if you're under 18, you know, they even tell you, wear your hair like this, so that you look like you're above 18. So that no one asks so many questions, that if you're a child, how come you're moving, where's your parent? So it is very, very problematic. Yeah.
Jacob, coming back home, we know we have porous borders. We talked about 54 manned points, but I believe we could even be having over 200 entry points in Uganda. Of course, not gazetted officially, but when we talk about this issue of illegal migrations into this country, how do we ensure that these various also points do not become constantly? I remember during the times of COVID-19, where it was more rampant, people found all routes into this country. What are you doing as government? What's being done by your ministry to ensure that we reduce these numerous points that people are using to access this country, and more so in terms of committing criminality, because we've seen a number of people who have committed crimes being hunted for, and we are told they crossed into a neighboring country?
Yes, we have land and water borders. And COVID-19 was such a huge exposure to what we should actually be doing. We tried to find out the areas which were being used commonly for people to cross easily. There are others where you can cross with difficulty. But those where people are fond of crossing are actually in hundreds, 336 points. And when this came to the knowledge of management, we decided to intensify our coordination with other forces, because we can't manage. But we cannot continue with that kind of arrangement forever. So management is considering, and they have all started initiating a border patrol force for the directorate. But of course, we'll continue working with those people, but we should have a reasonable number of officers on that. However, we need more officers to ensure that we do it alone. As of now, we are working with other stakeholders. We ask citizens to report to us where whenever they have anybody crossing, they report. We have given them our numbers. We ask leaders to always engage citizens to know which points have become commonly used. We work with other forces, local defense, Uganda Police, Uganda People's Defense Forces, and ensure that we mitigate that type of entry, which is uncalled for. And because of COVID-19, we have asked citizens to remain vigilant about that. Meanwhile, we have also started establishing a marine unit. So far, we have placed our boat on Lake Albert, which is very, very porous. It's about 150 kilometers of border. And we are continuing to train them, marine as well as border patrol. But we need more officers, of course, and the initiatives are being made to improve the structure and also to request for more staff. But overall, we also have internal control. When you enter, you can enter on your own, but we have inspection and legal services.
Talking about that, and I know Agnes will supplement on this, How effective is this? Because after explaining to me, and of course I know our viewers, when you talk about the two categories, that there are those that enter fine and they will not be detected because of the porous borders, but there are those that are staying here illegally. It seems the figures could be high. What are the mechanisms here of cracking down on those that are illegally staying in Uganda? I remember some time back, I think it was 2 years, when you carried out an operation that is downtown. I saw the numbers were so many. And even some were hiding, and I was like, are all these people illegally in Uganda? But that was in the business community, when you look at Indians, Chinese. But now we talk about a Kenyan who is here, a Tanzanian who is here, a Rwandese maybe who is here. How often, how are we ensuring that much as you make the exit, at least we can nab you when you're inside here?
Okay, I think, sorry.
Maybe I can start. Just to give you a picture. Every week, we report deportations at our statutory briefing, which is today. Okay. And those deportations come as a result of internal mechanisms of detecting, investigating, and causing arrests, and even charging people in court. And we have various ways through which we take people out. We can get a court order to deport you. The minister can issue an order. We can also find you, and immigration offenses are straightforward, and someone says, yeah, it's true, because the passport is talking that language. It's telling us that you are here illegally. And we ask you to bring a ticket, and then we organize you out. So we have all other agencies. We work with them. All intelligence agencies, we work with them to detect those who are living in the country illegally. But that doesn't mean that there is none. So as we get some and remove, there are others also who come. And as I told you, people come with various intentions. One comes with an intention of living, visiting, then eventually finds, oh, but I can work here. The place is nice. I can stay here and stay overstays. So we look out for those and arrest them, investigate, and maybe remove. So the Department of Inspection and Legal Services has now presence at all regional offices, so that those officers continue working with other stakeholders to ensure that we detect, we investigate, and ensure that we remove all those who are here illegally. Agnes, you can add something.
Because when arrests are made or when people are rounded up, what is done is screening. Like I told you, there are two categories. There are those who are smuggled, those who come, illegal, but there are also those who are brought, who are victims of trafficking. Now, when you screen and find that this person was lied to or came, in as a victim, that means they deserve protection. If you may recall, times when we've, for example, there was the trend of people from Burundi, for example, using Uganda as a transit. So when we get that you're victims of trafficking, so we go for the trafficker who has brought you, who transported you here, who brought you. So that's the person we want. Then we work together with other stakeholders. One, because they deserve protection, we put them in a secure, place, where they can stay. They do checkups, even medical. That's why we find that if you find there's sexual exploitation in there, we work with the embassies, from where they've come from. Then arrangements, are made, to take them back home. Even working with other embassies that, okay, if the person is not a Ugandan and is the trafficker. So even we've put people in court and conviction, and some of them have gone to serve sentences, to their countries. Because it's a whole chain, because we have to investigate who recruited, who transported. That's why you find that in the office where I am, we work closely with 15 ministries, departments, and agencies. Each of them who has what? Who has responsibilities. Foreign affairs, if Ugandans or people are found here, foreign affairs involved. Interpol, if you need to cross-border investigations, including internal security organization, because we need that intelligence, because that is an underground what? Crime. So we do the screening. That is the most important thing. And people who are trafficked, not just Ugandans, but there are also people whom they lie to that there are jobs here. That's why you find that even, you find victims of trafficking here, but you also find, in the movement. But also internally here, we traffic our very own.
And that is what I was going to ask you, but let me first remind our viewers that you can be part of the topic of discussion this lovely morning by simply going on your phone and sending us a WhatsApp message that is on 070960 2592, and I'll be reading out the messages. Or you can go on our various social media platforms, that is on our Twitter page, and still we'll be reading those messages. Or you can send a traditional SMS to that number, and the guests I have in studios will be able to respond to that. Well, we're still looking at, that is illegal immigration into our country. People that come in this country and then stay here. Let's also understand, what does the law say? Because sometimes Uganda has been a transit because of weak laws, that a person knows if you're in the East African community, you want to traffic someone, maybe we go through, because some people actually, this is not their final destination. They're simply in transit, and some have alluded this to weak laws. What do our laws say? Are there weaknesses, or these are just mere allegations?
Actually, our law is one of the best laws in the world, not just in Uganda, because we have even up to a death sentence. We have, recently we convicted, you remember that head teacher who had defiled about 11, children. So to life in prison, like he's spending all his life in prison. Now the law we are following is called the Prevention of Trafficking Persons Act of 2009. Now that law, we borrow the definition even from Palermo Protocol, the UN law, because trafficking is when you recruit, you transport, you harbor, you transfer. You use fraud, you use deception, you use abduction, all that for purposes of exploitation. Now, exploitation in Uganda, there's that expanded, definition. We include things like sexual exploitation. We include removal of organs, not just for transplant, but also for witchcraft. In this country, we're the only people who still bewitch people, and remove their organs, which is really sad. We include child marriage. That's why you find that we've moved around this country. This pandemic has caused this serious trouble. And even the narrative have been challenging people, because people are thinking, oh, many girls are getting pregnant, because it is COVID, because the schools are closed. I tell people, COVID does not cause pregnancy. Closing a school does not cause pregnancy. A girl gets pregnant when she has had sex with a man or a boy. So let's change, because who are these? We went to places like Kamuda in Soroti. You can imagine one sub-county, over 1,000 girls are pregnant. These are children. And the statistics are alarming. They're actually saying 1 in 4 girls is either pregnant or has a child. So there's an epidemic in this country about child marriage, about children who are getting pregnant. And it is a form of trafficking in Uganda. There's also removal of organs, including female genital mutilation. That's why we found that we've gone to Amudat. That's why you find that even children in Karamoja region who are trafficked to come to the streets of Kampala, that's a form of trafficking. We've moved the whole corridor, because they are trafficking our Karamojong children as far as Kenya, now as far as even Somalia. So what we've done is look at the whole transit, because Uganda is a source, transit, and destination. So there are also districts which are transit. That's why you see us in Soroti and all that. And next week we're actually meeting at Mount Moroto, to discuss.
Well, sorry to cut you short, but I think let me first look at some of the questions that are coming in. At least one, let me read one. What is required to legalize a company that exports labor in case I want to set up one? Well, that is a question, I think, to Siminyu. Then also there is another one that asks, what does it take for a person who entered Uganda to become, I think, a citizen or legalize his stay? Yes.
The company that that exports labor, first of all, you work with the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development and URSB. The ministry has a list of requirements which companies are required to comply with when they are being registered. And then you register the company according to the guidelines with URSB. Then you will be legal and continue to liaise with the ministry, because new guidelines keep on coming up because of different circumstances and scenarios that come up. So you just keep in touch with the ministry responsible.
Then Agnes, what does it take for someone who could maybe have been smuggled or trafficked or willingly entered Uganda tactically because of weaknesses sometimes in our porous borders? So if this person wants now to fit in Ugandan books, to work here without fear, yes, what does it take?
With the victims, if I talk about victims, because when you are trafficked for a reason. And if you realize that there's not that kind of employment, first of all, the law protects them. As long as the most important thing, first of all, the right to be identified as a victim, then your needs are taken care of. So because the kind of job you've been promised to work here is no longer there, so each individual, because there are so many stakeholders who come in, that's why you find that embassies and all that, either to return, there are some who remain because sometimes there are proceedings that have to happen to take somebody to court. Now you also know that we have East African community where people move, they have the right to residence, the right to work. So it is about following the right procedures. Some people, it's just a lack of information because they've lied to you. So it is now you to adhere to that. Then you are legal. Your stay is legalized.
Well, let me just read out these few questions. You choose which to answer in the remaining few minutes. They seem to be coming in so fast. One says, I want to, okay, that one we've responded to. Then do those officers know that we have legal immigrants of Rwandese origin on Lake Victoria engaging in fishing, imposing stiff competition to our people? That is a question, if you're in the know. Then good morning UBC, thanks for the show. How can I get a passport? That one is also coming to you. Still we have, good morning, I'm Peter from Kansanga. Here in Kansanga we have a lot of Ethiopians, Somalis, Sudanese, and these foreigners have led to increase in rent, and all things are expensive because of them. Yet we can't even buy property, and for them they have here land, titles and buildings. Allow me, this be the last please. GMU, this is Wilfred from Nebi. How do you handle the situation of communities which sit in two countries? Does the law bend when I have my brother in both, that is DRC Congo and Uganda? Just a few minutes, how those are the few that I could pick out.
Agnes,
so
you
share them
answer a few and then...
You go, because most
okay,
of the
fishing.
yeah.
Those ones who are offering stiff competition, we are aware and we are working towards ensuring that anybody who is living in the country legally is dealt with in accordance with the law. We have actually deported a number of them who are fishing on Lake Albert, and we are still pursuing the others. We will work with the local people to give us information. And if you want to report anybody who you think is working illegally, you just call 0800. It's toll free, 0800 199 003 or 0800 199 004, and report the area. You give us details, we shall take your contact, we may get more details, and we work together with our other stakeholders and ensure that we uproot these people, process them through court, and deport them. Those who are having stiff competition from foreigners who are living in Kansanga, we know that many of them may be living there in accordance with the law, but if there are any that are living there without going through the proper channels, or because the foreigners who are mostly there are students who are studying around the universities that are around Kansanga, and many of them who have encouraged them to, all of them to get students pass, but there may be a few who may not be having that. If you find Kansanga quite expensive, please try Nansana. Because when people come, they bring money into the country, and that's how the economy grows. We only want them to live in accordance with the law. Competition on expensive things you can go to other places where it's not expensive. For I chose to live in Mukono because it's not as expensive as Kampala, so you can also come and join me. There is someone who said that how do I get a passport? A passport is now easy to get. You just go to www.immigration.go.ug, choose passports, and then apply. When you apply, you will get a PRN and an application ID. Use the PRN to pay. After paying, come back to the site and schedule your appointment. On the appointments day, come to immigration and we take your biometrics, then you get a passport after 4 days. We have a number of centers. Mbarara is one of them, Mbale. Now Gulu was opened on Friday, so you can make use of it. Those who have brothers across, the law remains the same. If your brother is in Congo, when he comes to visit you, he's supposed to have a visitor's pass. He's supposed to cross with a passport. Even you, if you want to go to a garden, you are supposed to have to cross with a passport. Yes, that's the law. Yes.
Some people just split by a line.
Identification.
This is Congo. We are not talking about other borders. Congo is just getting into the, so we still have a lot of maybe agreements, maybe if it becomes a member of the ESC. However, in the ESC region, we have a zone that we have created for citizens where they can cross with IDs, with the, you know, we give them interstate passes and they cross to the other country and cross back.
Well, time is not so much on our side. Ruben must be here to give us all the sports updates, but I just want to thank you so much. Jacob Siminyu, that is the spokesperson of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and Agnes Igoye, that is the Deputy National Coordinator and also spokesperson of the counter-trafficking institutions in this country. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. So please get yourself well equipped with the laws of Uganda when it comes to immigration to avoid being a victim. Siminyu just gave out a number here, so you never know when they can make that call. And also let's desist from entering this country through the porous borders. Just have the right paperwork and enjoy the Pearl of Africa. Have a lovely day. I'll leave you with Ruben to take you through the world of sports, but please go get your jab. Good morning.
Thank you.
Kagalino twalekedde ekyatulese tuzze tukalanga enfunda eziwererako ddala eno yego TV Super ey'abakaguje njagala weekaani ewatali kwemamaaza olwo tuba tusimbudde ne Go TV Super Duper waawawa era nga bakutuusaako ekigo eky'abakabejja abasajja eŋŋwaŋŋuli kw'ogatta ne busineema obujjudde omuhabati ku $5,015 waawawa soka bulaza weefunye ekirungo kya Go TV Super ekijjudde obulungi ove mu baaje.
Perfect weather out there for this final round of matches in African